Hi, it's Justin here, and I thought I would share with you my latest work with my 01 Master Control Unit to upgrade the keyboard. So this is a photo of my original 01 Master Control Unit, originally purchased in the 1980s, and it and several others now are on the shelf as their membrane-based keyboards have slowly failed. And I'm down to my last good membrane-based keyboard. So it was time to bite the bullet and do some upgrades so that I had a couple of working master units. Some of you will know I work these units pretty hard, so it's no surprise that they fail. And I'm also trying to recreate one of the prototypes with a computer keyboard style key, slightly larger and softer touch. But that's going to require cutting the case and a few other things that I haven't got time for right now. So I ended up having to bite the bullet, buying some micro switches and seeing how I can make this work fairly quickly. So here's the micro switch I ended up using from a local electronics store. I'll put the link in the description. They're about $1.20 Australian, so the whole project was just under 21 Australian dollars. So these micro switches are 6mm by 6mm, so they're very small. The button on the top is 0.7mm tall, and the total height is 3.2mm. So they're slightly taller than will fit into the 01 case, so you do need to do some slight modifications to the 01 keys, but it's fairly simple to do. So these are the switches that I landed on. They're single momentary push button switches. So here's my first attempt, fairly quick and dirty with a big soldering iron, but in fact it worked. You can see I've had to push and bend and twist the contacts on the switches to make them fit the existing PCB. But in fact, I was able to solder on to the existing PCB after a bit of cleaning and scraping, and got them all to fit in alignment reasonably well. So as I mentioned, these switches are just a fraction too tall when the circuit board is reinstalled. So as you can see here, if you're used to looking at the inside of your keyboard, I've just used a Dremel to shave off the protruding piece of plastic that normally hits the membrane button so that they're perfectly smooth flat. And that actually allows the PCB to be fitted and for the buttons to work and be pressed. Next step is to put it all back together and test the keyboard out to see that all the buttons work.
So I've got that modified keypad installed in my backup, or one of my backup master units. I have given it a clean, although you can't tell. The keys themselves are quite heavily stained from previous users. However, let's give the keypad a test out. So triple anything should give me an error. So the one key and the clear key works. There we go, and we'll do 100 to test the 0 key. So now these keys should just hit twice and get an error. All right, so we know all of those work. Now let's try the arrow key. So if we do double 1 and arrow and double 2, that should give us an error, but it doesn't. So that key works. So we go double 1 and left arrow, double 2, left arrow, and it doesn't give us an error. So clearly the arrow keys are working as well. We can't test the override button because all it does is sets all the speeds to 0, and we need to connect it up to see that in operation. But I've got no reason to believe that isn't working. The other thing, of course, is the really nice clicking sound that confirms that the button has actually been pushed, which is just brilliant. So no rubber membrane at all anymore, just the micro switches with the modified keys. I've had to slice the protruding section off the bottom of the keys, as you've seen in the previous photos, but is working a treat. We'll put it in production and see how it goes.